So we're going to look at the cards and we'll ask some questions, and we're going to focus on two hexagrams and what the lines are that change. That's what the changing lines are. So in the concept of the I Ching, of balance, of finding what it is that we're changing, are we moving from a contemplative stance to an action stance? Or are we moving from an action stance to a contemplative or stillness stance? It's represented by what's called the Wu Ji, which is that point of stillness in the yin yang, which is the action into the contemplation, contemplation into action. So the yin moves into the yang moves into the yin. The yin is primarily female, which is the broken line, and the yang is primarily masculine or male, which is the solid line. So what we're going to identify side by side is the first hexagram compared to the second, which goes from yang to yin, which goes from yin to yang, from the bottom up. That's how it tells us what is the change or the stance. It's the stance you're currently in and what you need to currently do to flip that energy so that some movement is created. It's a layer of change. So the reading is going to give you several layers of change, right? You're going to get your trigram, the elements and the nature that it's related to. It's going to give you how much yin, how much yang, the inner stance, the outer stance, where is that incongruence? This is another layer of information, which is very specific and it's tangible. Act, don't act, contemplate, think, stop acting, right? There's something immediate to do or not do. And so it gives some control, if you will, or a semblance of control. It's time-based. It tells a story. So it's a point of reference where you can ask a client. One of the things that I do when something comes up is, where have you lived this before? Or where is the first time that you remember this pattern emerging? The earlier you can go back into their mental history, the better, because they can start to see that this constellated way back, that it's not a current day problem. Remember, these divination tools are to give you that third floor perspective. This is a larger picture in your life. This is not a get me out of this situation now. This is help me grow out of a pattern that I'm addicted to. Very different stance. So you can invite them to tell a story when this pattern emerged before, or when were you asked to do something like this before that maybe you cut it off. What tends to happen in the psyche when we identify a pattern, what do we want to do? Get out of pain. All we want to do is get out of pain. That's it. And so if we get out of pain in the same way over and over again, we call that a pattern. And like Einstein said, in order to change, you need to use a different level of consciousness. Well, getting out of pain is one very low consciousness. So you have to use a different kind of consciousness to get out of pain, not the one that you're doing, right? Fast, furious, fix it, throw money at it, ignore it, right? Whatever your pattern is. And unfortunately, Carl Jung said, there's no coming to consciousness without pain. So pain is immediately entering, and usually why someone books a session, because they want to get out of pain, they want it, the answer, they want to fix it. So going back in time to see what they did previously will indicate also what not to do now. So that's how we use that element of pain. Because we have a tendency of repeating, and that's what Einstein called insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. If you've done this way of getting out of pain this way, don't do that. Anything else, just do anything. And sometimes just directing the client and don't do that, just do anything else is enough to get movement. But it usually does come with an element of pain that they have to hold for long enough so that they can see the benefit of what they're doing or not doing. That's the challenge. So this is a moment where a lot of layers and depths of a reading emerge. You get the client's story, so you're hearing how they frame their problem, and they're obviously very limited in how they frame it. probably something that they were taught was a no-no from childhood. Obviously a lived experience that creates a lot of pain. So you get to see the framework so that you can shift them just a little. You give them a directive, and that people feel very, very good about getting a directive. These divination techniques, the reason they give answers is because they give you the block that's keeping you from the answer. That's why the question and the emotion and all the things we've talked about before is so important. So when they get a directive of acting or not acting, it's like an answer. It's something they have control over. And that's really all this is about, giving the client control over their lives. So that's one of the reasons why the changing lines is such a crucial part of the I Ching. It gives you your next move, if you will, or not move. And it gets you to stillness. The point of stillness is that breaking point where you hold the pain, because through the pain, through whatever arises for the client by acting or not acting, if they act and they're afraid, they have to confront a fear. If they don't want to act because they don't feel that they're worthy and their only worth, let's say, is through an action or saying or doing or talking or giving or fixing, then they have to confront the fact that they're more than what they do. That creates a level of stillness where now that pain can break open to deeper truths that can emerge. So when someone says, I hold space for you, they're holding that discomfort so that you can get to the bottom of it. That's what a reader is. That's what a therapist is. That you could get your own answers, but you need a container and you need someone to help you hold the pain. Eventually, once you can hold your own pain, then you can offer that to another person. That is what I call from emotion to feeling. I can feel my pain, hold it for myself, glean the wisdom from it, whether it's through a divination tool or just a meditation. Now I can serve through that. But if I'm unable to hold my own discomfort, my own emotional pain, I oftentimes need a reader, a therapist, a divination tool to give me some insight. I hold that insight, and then through there, I can process that pain and emotion and get to the other side as feeling. So it's a very crucial part of any divination tool is this.